Hello, and welcome to the Tesla Tips and Tricks podcast. This is Rod Stuckey. Here with me is EVBid's co-founder and Tesla Tips and Tricks administrator, Tori Hornsby. Tori, how's it going?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. So, as usual, in this episode 16 of our podcast, we're going to be covering some interesting posts from the T3 Facebook group, including, but not limited to, a lawsuit accusing Tesla of speeding up odometers. We're going to talk about some 12-month charging stats, why Tesla wipers sporadically turn on when it's not raining, changing a cabin filter. What is a cabin filter? Why do you want to change it? And the cost of full self-drive. But first, Tori, can you tell us a little bit about the T3 community?
Yes. So Tesla Tips and Tricks is the largest tips-oriented community for Teslas in the world. We have over 281,000 members. Our community provides real-world tips for prospective Tesla owners and current Tesla owners. And you can imagine with a group of 281,000 people, we have to work hard to remove spam, inappropriate content, rude comments, because what we want to do is ensure that the community is as polite and courteous as possible. So if you haven't joined our Facebook group, head on over. You can search Tesla Tips and Tricks, and you'll see the group with our red logo that you can see on the screen here for those who are watching. And you'll see that we have over 280,000 members.
As we jump into the top 5 posts, please click like and subscribe. It really helps us to keep good Tesla tips and tricks content coming your way. So coming in here with our first post that we're going to be talking about was our folks following the emerging scandal of Tesla speeding up odometers to avoid warranty repairs. Tori, take us through a little bit about what this post is about for those who may not be familiar with this alleged scandal.
Yeah, so there's a Model Y owner, and he is accusing Tesla of speeding up the odometer in order to not have to provide warranty coverage and pay for warranty claims for the vehicle. It does have merit at least at the foundation, because Tesla vehicles do not have a mechanical odometer. You remember back in the day, there was a hose that connected to the transmission with a wire that spun on the inside of it, and it mechanically logged miles as you drove. And then they moved to wheel speed sensors. And so there's still a mechanical device that's on most cars that's calculating how fast you're going and how far you're driving. Well, Tesla actually uses an algorithm-based system to determine mileage, and it's very accurate. And so what you see here with the comments in this post, you see people who are not believing it. There's a couple of people in here who say, I thought that my Tesla mileage seemed a little bit higher than my other cars, but nobody really noticed anything before. And that's the comment here, is that sure, nobody noticed this before now. Yeah, right. Some people will believe anything. Most people don't believe it. And I've watched and done a little research. I've watched several people, one of who I thought was the best test, and he did a 53 or 54 mile loop, and he did it with the Model 3. He did it with the Model Y, which is the car that the accuser owns. And he did it with a different car. He has a Porsche. These 3 cars, he did a 53 mile loop on multiple times. So it was a very, very good test. And all of them were within a couple of tenths of 1 mile. The reason that you would find a couple of tenths more on a route is you could have changed lanes more frequently. And you go, hey, would that really add to a tenth or 2/10 of a mile on a 54 mile trip? Yes. For those who are NASCAR fans, you notice those cars always go down and ride on the inside of the track, because the further that you get out to the end of a circle, to the end of the circumference, the further it is, basic math there. So yeah, you can certainly add half a mile easy in a 50 plus mile trip, just depending on how you change lanes and where you drive normally. So I don't think that there's anything here for us to be worried about. But the last thing I will comment on is that it is software, and there could be an issue with this person's Model Y. There could be a bug that caused their system to malfunction and double the mileage. And that's what his claim is that it's up to 117% inaccurate. That's crazy. He says he drives 6,000 miles every 6 months like clockwork, and his Tesla shows over 13,000 miles, 117%. So I don't think that there is a class action lawsuit here. I think that this will turn out to be nothing. I don't see this being anything for us to worry about.
Yeah, this thread has over 140 comments. One of the only negative comments I see is my drive unit went out 300 miles after warranty. That's the implication here, is that this is being done to avoid warranty repairs.
I just
Kind
don't
of
think that's
feels
true.
like stepping over quarters to pick up nickels to do something that nefarious to avoid warranty repairs. But out of 140 comments, to your point, Tori, there are so many people in here that have gone and literally tested their Teslas against their other cars, against Google Maps. The thread clearly indicates that this is not a widespread issue of Tesla users, and that's one of the great things about the T3 community, is we kind of get to vet things through real world users. And according to our research, this is a bit of a perhaps
Yeah.
smear campaign on
Yeah.
Mr. Musk once again.
Last comment real quick is just, if there was ever a car that you wanted to avoid doing something like this because your buying base tends to be more analytical, the
Yes.
car that you would want to avoid is Tesla.
Yes,
They're not
exactly.
intentionally doing this. There's nothing nefarious going
That's what was wild to me, is how many people in the comments actually have tested this, because I probably just don't have the patience to do that. But to your point, this is a very analytical, methodical, detail-oriented group of owners, and the other thing is, this isn't a hard thing to test, right? It's pretty easy to test it.
Very easy. GPS on the phone. I mean,
Yeah, I
you have
mean, if you
GPS built into every phone.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
too
this is
easy to test.
yeah. So I think this is an outlier, and I think you make a good point, Tori. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect computer or perfect software. There's bugs, there's patches, and this could be a one-off. So,
And now he's gonna find out that his son has been sneaking out his car at night.
ooh. Move on. Number 4. Uh, Next post. What does everyone's 12-month charging stats look like? People want to compare and contrast. I love that saying, when you're looking at data, as compared to what? It's hard to
Right,
just look at your data until you can say as compared to what. So
right.
this is what does everyone's charging stats look like as compared to mine?
And that's a great segue to start off. Tyler posts his, and he's used 16,100 kilowatt hours of charging. My Model X has a 100 kilowatt hour battery. Right now, the capacity of it is just over 90 kilowatt hours. That's a lot of full charges. 16,100 kilowatt hours is a lot of full charges. And he spent $1,235. And you go, wow, that's a lot of money. Am I going to be spending over $100 a month? Well, not necessarily, but it also could be more. It just depends on your driving habits and what your charge for electricity per kilowatt hour is. Mine overnight is 11 cents. His has to be less based on 16,000 kilowatt hours. I would have paid more than $1,200. So, who's your power company? What kind of driving do you do? Are you in a hot place where you have the air conditioner on all the time using your battery? Do you precondition your battery? Is it cold there? Do you drive a lot uphill? Are you heavy footed? Do you drive interstate 85 miles an hour, which is the worst kilowatt hour per mile for my car? Is when I'm on the interstate driving 85 miles an hour. It sucks the battery life more than even just around town, which is backwards of a normal ICE vehicle. So as you're reading through this, and we look at just a couple of them, it just depends. You have to figure out how many kilowatt hours are you going to use on your normal week or day. I will add that Tyler, he spent $1,200. Seems like a lot of money, but just over $100 a month. But man, he saved over $500 a month in gas savings. So it's incredible. That's incredible savings. Darren added in his, he has only spent $50. He must be using solar. But he spent $50 and his gas savings is $1,800. That's incredible. Moving on, $800 for the year and has saved $966 of gas. So you see a little bit more even savings there of it's 50-50 to where the other ones, it was astronomical savings. Here's one more, spent 126, saved $154. One of the reasons I wanted to show this is in addition to just being interesting, and highly encourage you to go through this post and look at everybody's different charging stats for 12 months. It does give you an idea, but you really have to find people who live in your area and drive like you do. I saw a post earlier that somebody said, "Hey, I've had my car for 2 weeks and my power bill was $180 more in that month. Is that what I need to expect? It'll be over $360." Well, you can't do the math that way, because if you're comparing April's power bill to March, well, it was a lot warmer. You're using your air conditioner more. You and I turned on our pool pumps. They were on, but we used them a lot more. That could be $80, $100 just in that right there. So you can't compare it to your previous power bill. The best way to do it is to pull up and look, log into your Tesla app and go to the charging specs. And then you can add in what your kilowatt hour charge is, and it will tell you what you spend. Best way to do it.
So that total spent is a default until you plug in your actual number if you want it to be, detailed.
I don't remember what the default was, but it was higher than what I pay.
Yeah. And then of course, there's outliers to this. We have people in the comments talking about they live in apartments and they charge it at superchargers. Obviously superchargers are going to be significantly more.
Oh yeah,
Then there's
22% here. So this one has charged 22% at superchargers, 60% at home, 18% other.
yeah. So yeah, this is really it's cool if you haven't for those watching on YouTube or in your car, go home and pull this thread up. We've got a lot of different people have gone in here and actually uploaded a screen grab that's just a thread of screen grabs. And it's really cool to look at everyone's different data and comments on this. 255 comments. All right, well, let's move on. Number 3 here. Why do the wipers go on once swiped while driving? Absolutely beautiful day, no rain.
This is common. Obviously, the Tesla wiper system leaves a little bit to be desired, or much to be desired. It needs some improvement because it's not rain sensor based like most cars are. It's camera based. So it uses the FSD camera. And if it picks up what it perceives as rain, it turns on the wipers one swipe. So what does it perceive as rain? Well, it could be bugs. It could be dirt. I keep my auto wipers off to avoid this. So that kind of solves the issue. But for a lot of people, especially in the stalkless Teslas, it can be a bit of a pain to turn them on when it starts raining.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments. I called Tesla about this, and the tech said the camera might have a speck of dust on it.
It can even detect a shadow, like you could be
Shadow,
going
yeah.
through some trees and a shadow could trigger it.
So yeah, reflections are mentioned in the comments. The Tesla wiper system, as Tori mentioned, is something that has been a hot button for owners, and there's people in here saying that Musk has said he's going to fix the wipers a year and a half ago and still hasn't done it. So, um,
Yeah,
yeah, I say the wipers and the sun visors we could work on from the factory and make them a little better. But hey,
yep.
no such thing as a perfect car. So anyway, that's interesting that and that explains that. May just be something as simple as cleaning washing your car, cleaning the camera. So moving on, number 2. I did it. I changed the cabin air filter in my car. If a 66-year-old woman can do it, anyone can. Tori, for those that are listening and not watching, tell us about the picture of what we're looking at here from Miss Becky.
Yeah, now you missed one little term in there. If a 66-year-old woman in a skirt
Oh,
can
yes,
do
the skirt can do it.
it. And so what Becky is doing here is she's changing her filter. I can't tell if this is a Model 3 or Model Y, actually. I think it might be a Model Y, which means that she'd be changing her HEPA filter. For the newer Teslas, they have a Biodefense. If you've got Biodefense mode, it routes all the air through a HEPA filter. Changing these out from time to time is a good idea because obviously they get dirty. You're using your AC a lot. And in fact, I've read comments that have alerted me to something. I've noticed when I get in my Model X just over the past week, I got in and I'm like, what's that smell? Doesn't smell bad, but it just smells not fresh. Like it hasn't had this smell. And so I read some comments on this, and a lot of times that smell is your filter. You need to replace it. It's blocked all these contaminants, and that stuff sits and gets old. And while it's just sitting in your car, it can start to smell a little bit. And then I notice when I turn on my AC, the smell gets a little stronger. That was the dead giveaway, but then it goes away entirely and everything is fine again. So if you have a funky smell in your Tesla, replace your filter. May not be your carpet, may not have anything wet in the car, might just be your filters. But going through some comments, obviously people are just celebrating that a 66-year-old woman in a skirt is jumping in and getting her hands dirty. And we think that's awesome as well. So nice job, Becky. One of my favorite comments here, though, is Michael said, well, I think I broke 2 ribs when I was changing mine. Why don't you come over and do mine next time? Uh, and then some comments saying, 66, man, you look 36 to me. And then people commenting saying, hey, the skirt has nothing to do with this, right? I mean, I can try changing the cabin air filter, but putting on a skirt, I don't know. That's kind of hard for me. Just know that's from Vu. Vu, the skirt has nothing to do with it. You can do it sans skirt. You don't have to have the skirt on.
I want to echo what you're saying here. There's a lot of groups out there and communities where people are saying and being ugly, and this community, there's 265 comments of mostly people that are just complimenting and are just so positive about what Becky's doing here. And I think that says a lot about our community, about our administrators and moderators, and the most importantly, the members of the Tesla Tips and Tricks community, to just be, I mean, and it's inspiring. It makes me want to do mine instead of having the shop do it. And then the last thing I just want to do is kind of shift gears back and recap what you were saying, because I remember when I first heard of Tesla's bioweapon defense mode. Well, what is that? What is this HEPA filter? To recap what you said, I pulled up and I'm reading here: the state of the art air filtration system that combines a HEPA filter with a pressurized cabin to protect occupants from airborne pollutants like smog, wildfire smoke, and even potential biological hazards. It essentially cleans the air both inside and outside the car, creating a positive pressure environment to prevent contaminated air from entering. So, at first, I just thought this was some fancy salesmanship, but when you start thinking about the practical uses in Georgia, we have so much pollen. There's wildfires in all over. Obviously, there's smog. So, I mean, this is not just kind of I don't think this is a pie in the sky salesy thing. I think this is a real value, a real benefit, and it substantiates why keeping your HEPA filter changed out is a smart thing to do.
Yeah, and Kumar asked in the comments, after how many miles do you replace it? Justin commented and said, just do it once to twice a year. And then Ashish said, no, you're supposed to be every 3 years by the book. Justin says, mine needs it twice a year, at least once a year, or it smells, like I was saying.
Yeah.
So there's guidelines in when you're supposed to replace it, but it's not like an oil filter in an ICE vehicle where you need to replace it every 3,000 or 5,000 or 7,500 miles. This, you should replace it at least once to twice a year. But if it starts smelling in your car and you got to do it before then, replace it.
Yeah. All right. So that was a great post, and congratulations, Becky. Awesome post. Moving on, our last post we're gonna cover here is: I'm considering purchasing FSD for $99 per month for my 2023 Model Y. through the app, of course. I'm wondering why $8,000 for it has been ingrained in my mind. I'd love to hear about your experience with it. Is it worth the money? Is it reliable?
Well, Molly's question is a good one here. FSD, to buy it on a lifetime subscription, is $8,000. So you do hear a lot of people saying that's an $8,000 upgrade. That cost $8,000, but that's lifetime for the vehicle. There are some benefits to that. First is the alternative is paying $99 a month. So if you don't want the monthly charge, then you pay $8,000 upfront when you buy a new Tesla. Or you can do it that way on a used Tesla. You can buy it that way lifetime as well. So a lot of people choose the $99 per month because they realize it would take 81 months of paying $99 for it to cost more than the $8,000 one time charge. But then you have other people offsetting that. Uh, for instance, right now it's May 13th, 2025. And right now, Tesla has a promotion where if you buy a new Tesla, you can transfer your full self drive to it. So now, exceeding that 81-month period is a lot more valuable because you can transfer it. But Tesla could stop doing that and never offer it again. So you can't use that as your only basis for taking advantage of the $8,000 upgrade. But a lot of people, when they're looking at a used Tesla, uh, this is a value add, right? Because if somebody who bought this Tesla new purchased FSD with it, or it came with the vehicle, like a Foundation series typically of any model has FSD included, then you know that you can get that car and you're not going to have to pay $99 a month. There's value in it both ways. But then to answer her question in terms of the money, is it worth it and is it reliable? Unequivocally, yes, it is worth it. And what you see in the 75 comments on this are people who are saying absolutely it is worth it. There's a couple of people who say it's not for them. There's a line, and there's a large group of people who love it. And then there's a portion of people who hate it and don't like it. So be mindful of who you take your advice from and go and experience it. All of the Teslas that you can go and test drive at the dealership, they put FSD subscription active on those cars. So go test drive the car. They'll let you keep the car for a couple of hours. It's not like a normal dealership where you go around the block and come back. They'll give you the keys, scan your license, get you to sign something, and then you can just take off and keep it for a couple of hours and go experience FSD on an interstate and around town. See if it's for you. For most people, it is for them.
Yeah, I wanted to share this post from Kurt. He was using the free trial, and he said, "It's always yelling at me to pay attention. I've gotten 5 strikes in less than a week and was blocked for the next week. Now I have 3 strikes again. If I turn to talk to my kids or look at my phone for a few seconds, I get nagged at." He said, "Listen, I understand I'm not a quote safe driver, but I was raised on manual transmissions, driving with a knee and eating hot, and now I got this. That being said, I've taken 2 300-mile trips, and it was nice on the highway and aggressive enough to keep up with the flow of traffic, which is a different pace here in Detroit." And I just wanted to share that because, like, to your point, toward most everyone, it has nothing but positive things to say. I think I was raised in a similar way as Kurt, driving with 5 speeds and just, uh, I have to confess that the 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 FSD has trained me in a sense that when I first began using it, I wanted more freedom to kind of look around and be sloppy, and it's really trained me to keep an eye on the road and my surroundings. But I've noticed having my hands free if I want to sip on my coffee or shove down a cheeseburger or whatever, I can do that. I can keep my eyes on the road. And I'm like you, I use it everywhere. My wife and I tried a new sushi place last night that we'd not been to, and it's, 10 minutes away. And said, "Take me to Tsunami Restaurant," and it drove us there and drove us back. And I'm addicted. It is the coolest thing. And my wife finally has even admitted, she won't admit it to me, but I hear her telling other people it's pretty cool. The car drives itself. So I think there are pros and cons. And to Kurt's point, the nagging can be a little bit annoying, but it's almost like the seatbelt thing, you don't put your seatbelt on and it's barking at you. Well, we finally just all learned if you'll just put your seatbelt on, it'll quit barking at you. And
Right.
the
That's a great analogy. If you'll just look ahead and pay attention to the road,
yeah,
it'll stop barking at you.
yeah, I mean, not really what not really what we want to hear, but that's kind of what it has taught me. So
Yeah, and this is keep in mind, if you're wanting the fully autonomous experience, it is coming. I don't know how far we are out, might be a year, might be 2 years, but that experience is coming. So that's one other benefit of buying the $8,000 version of this is that those cars that purchased full self-drive lifetime, they will update to get the best experience for no additional cost. So they're going to be updated. Elon Musk has already talked about, like in my Model X, which has hardware 3, they're going to upgrade it to hardware 4 for free because it has the $8,000 lifetime subscription purchased when it was new. So another benefit there.
yeah. Yep. All right. Well, there you have it. 5 posts from our Tesla tips and tricks Facebook community with over 280,000 members. If you have not joined that group yet, please head over and do so. Hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. And for Tori Hornsby, this is Rod Stuckey. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode.